really see me, can you? Is that better? Morning. Right, so hopefully, can you see me? Yeah, that's fine. So normally I would be talking about do the gym, but today I want to talk about a guy called Wim Hof. Yeah, so basically Wim Hof has done, basically he's got 26 world records, and sort of like part of this is the longest time spent in an ice bath, climbed Kilimanjaro in just his shorts, climbed part of Everest in just his shorts, and ran a marathon. I can't remember what it was, but anyway, it was like freezing cold, and he basically just did it barefoot in his shorts, and he swam under sort of like a metre of ice for 60 metres, which, you know, swimming 60 metres in itself is pretty hard underwater, but to do it under ice is pretty tough. Anyway, but he's done all these crazy feats, and basically it's all sort of like in extreme conditions. There's fairly common knowledge in sort of like, you know, amongst medical professionals that you can't really control your autonomic nervous system, which is the nervous system which basically sort of like, you know, controls your breathing, your adrenaline, your freeze, fight or flight. Anyway, Wim seems to think that you can, and you know, he said, you know, you can fight disease and all this sort of stuff. And he's so, you know, he went ahead and proved this by, you know, they took him to a lab and you know, they dunked him in some ice for 80 minutes and basically sort of like, you know, just monitored what happened to him, and his core temperature actually increased rather than decreased, and they actually injected him in some sort of like with a virus, and basically his body dealt with the virus very quickly. I think it was in 15 minutes, and it's meant to make you, you know, this virus is meant to make you sort of pretty sick for the best part of 6 hours. And he said that he could teach this to anyone, so he got 12 other people, and he taught them how to do the same thing in just 4 days. And sure enough, they all got injected with the virus, and sure enough, you know, they all dealt with it. So, which is pretty cool, really. So the idea, I think from what I can gather, so after having done a bit of research, the theory is that we've kind of really lost the ability to sort of control our hormonal system, and, you know, maybe this is something that we could have done years and years and years ago, but currently now, as it stands, for you know, for quite a long time, we've not really had to deal with any real fear, I suppose, you know, certainly not of any, you know, anything recent, and we are constantly under some sort of stress. Now, that stress is to do with sort of like money, it's to do with image, it's to do, you know, you wake up in the morning, you go on Facebook and go on social media, and you are being, you know, you're putting yourself under judgment, and that is stress. So what we are kind of doing to ourselves is putting ourselves under a constant amount of stress, which is basically suppressing our adrenal glands, and we're not getting true rest. And we're not really, you know, it's suppressing our mitochondrial function, suppressing our hormonal function, and suppressing our adrenal glands. So hence when, you know, when we do get stressed at work, you know, we can get sick, we can sort of like pick up cold sores and stuff like that. So basically, I think his theory, from what I can gather, and it's sort of like and they're going about proving this now, is the fact that we are under constant stress, and because of that, we do pick up sort of like illnesses and disease really, really quickly, and, you know, which is good for the medical industry, because then they can just sell us a drug and we can sort of like pretend to think we can get better, but if we actually look after ourselves far more, then we shouldn't need these external factors, you know, these sort of chemical compound drugs to sort of like make us feel better. Anyway, so Wim Hof, he thinks we can regain control of this, okay? And he thinks we can do this through something called cold exposure and quite a specific breathing technique. So, the idea behind the cold exposure is, if you submerge yourself in a really, really cold ice bath, or expose yourself to cold, then basically you don't think of anything else. You know, you're not worried about anything else. Your sole focus is, I'm really, really freezing cold, I need to get out of here. So it's a direct, so your body will perceive this as a direct threat to your existence, to life. So what happens is, you know, your heart rate goes up, you start panicking. And we need not to do that. Lost the ability to control this. However, studies have shown now if you expose yourself to sort of like really freezing temperatures, sort of, I don't know, sort of 2-3 times a week for as little as 30 seconds, it can really have a positive effect on your mitochondrial function and your immune system. Anyway, he thinks we can also do this through a breathing technique. So it's basically it's 30 breaths in quite a short succession, broken down into 3 lots of 10. So what you would do is you would lie yourself down, completely relaxed, take a deep breath in, and then rather than exhaling forcefully, you just relax, and then again. So you do that 10 times. Now on the 10th one, you exhale, and then you just basically don't breathe in again. And then basically, as oxygen gets used up, you know, your body just goes into sort of like a bit of a panic mode and thinks like, right, you're not breathing, you're gonna die. And then basically you start panicking and your heart rate increases, adrenaline gets released, all this sort of stuff. So this is outside, this then goes outside of our control. Now you try and resist this, and then when it gets to a point where you just can't resist it anymore, rather than panicking and go and trying to take another deep breath, you calmly just breathe in, relax. Breathe in, relax. Do that again for the 2nd time, and then do it again for the 3rd time. Now in theory, by the time you get to the 3rd time, you should be able to go without oxygen for quite a long time. Your body can do this. We're designed to do this. We're designed to deal with this amount, this stress. So what that does is sort of like, so we have control and we put ourselves into this fight or flight position basically and regain control over this. And in theory, all this is meant to sort of like help us improve mitochondrial function and help with our immune system, and just basically just through breathing and some cold exposure, really develop our mitochondrial function and our immune system. So it's pretty good. Yes, what I'm going to do is I'm going to post a couple of videos, I think 3 videos, one of someone actually, of Wim actually going through the breathing technique with someone, a Vice documentary, and a interview on London Real with Wim Hof. So you've got 3 things to look at there. So, you know, you can, just take your time, have a little look, see what you think. Just give it a go. See how you feel. What have you got on it? 105. And where are you going to go? So,
do 1 more, 105, and 110.
Go for it. But don't forget, you know, a PB is exactly that. It's a PB where it's, you know,
I get it every week.
you can't get a PB every week. But to be fair, that looked piss easy. Yeah.